right, Steve, we're talking about effective communication, and again, from a CEO's perspective, and I want to talk about the written word.
The number one thing about the written word that I've seen is it's easily misinterpreted. It is by far the most misinterpreted bit of communication that I've come across.
How so?
Especially, well, because people think about an email, they may say something to you in their words, but when they write it in an email, it comes off in a very different way. It comes off biting or insulting. You know, for instance, you'll notice all of my emails, you typically end with thank you. I almost end every email with thank you.
I don't think I've ever gotten a thank you email
not
for
to
you. There's a you, but there's not a thank you.
Or it can say thanks. But it's because it's so much simpler, because people, you don't when I'm speaking to you, I can read your body. We'll talk about body language, but I can read your body language. I can see whether you're getting my message in my tone. When I write it,
with an email, you don't have the face-to-face.
Any written, whether it's an email, a blog post, an article, it's there to be interpreted by however the customer wants to interpret it, and so you're left having to interpret the interpretation. But you want bullets, so it's clean. So I'll typically do things that are in bullet form.
I do that too. I appreciate that when people do that with me.
And I'll ask very specific questions. So you don't want to ask general, especially in writing. If you're asking in email or anything, don't ask general questions. Ask
we don't
very
need
specific questions that have yes, no answers are very simple answers, because you want the customer to know exactly what you're asking them so they can respond exactly the right way. Otherwise, what you'll get is that I thought you meant this, and all of a sudden you've got a back and forth going on.
Brief, again, is that important to you to be brief?
More so now than ever, because people's attention span is a lot less than it ever was. Get to the point. Get to the point quickly, make it obvious that understand what your value proposition is if you're writing a blog post, and get it out there right away. Don't be afraid to state it up front. Don't be afraid to state it bluntly. Don't try and hide it to sound intellectual or sort of as some big thought leader. Put it out there, put it blunt, make it simple so people can understand. I'll tell you a trick I do. Typically, I'll read every email once over before I send it. So I'll write it, and then I'll stop, I'll leave it, I'll read it, and then if I like it, I'll send it. And sometimes I'll read it twice.
Really? So the one-sentence direct emails I get, you've actually read over?
Twice. Well, because you
Wow.
want to change the tone, because it's so easy to insult somebody in email. And it's so easy to turn somebody off in email, and it's so easy, and however in writing, it's so easy to have the wrong words and the wrong message, and all of a sudden you've gone from doing something really good and you sent something really bad.
Okay.
Don't write the 20-page white paper, write the 2-paragraph post, have behind it a 1-page summary, have behind that a 20-page. Think about when you're writing, well, think of it this way, when you're writing a business plan, everyone says, write the executive summary first. Think about that. You're writing the executive summary before you write the book. Most people write an 80-page business plan, and
that gives you an outline.
And then they rush through the executive summary. And most people, when they're reading, every VC I've ever talked to says, I read the executive summary, I look at the financials. If I like it, I read more. So what's more important, the 100-page book or the 5-page executive summary? And that's the way the consumer thinks now. The consumer thinks in they have short-term, short attention span, short desires. They have small desire to get to pieces, so you want to make it quick. The other thing I'd be curious about in the written word is language. Make sure your grammar's right. God forbid it's not. I will tell you how many times I've seen spelling errors and I've just shut somebody off on a blog post, an email. Always check your spelling, and don't use words that aren't natural. Don't use words just to use them, just to impress somebody. They don't. The customer, the other person may understand it, but they don't.
You just said that you'll edit or you'll look at your email before you send it. So, and it's easy, let's face it, we all do this. It's easy to write a word that you wouldn't normally use in conversation. Do you look at it and then kind of read it out loud and see if the word is conversational?
And if it doesn't sound right, and if it sounds goofy, if it sounds like it's putting on airs, if it sounds like it's not me, I get rid of it.